Now before I go any further, let's talk about this old electrical outlet. What am I going to do with this? If I were to, let's say, you know, I know it's still working. You know, could I put this out in a garage or in an attic or something like that if I wanted to? Worst case scenarios, yeah, I could, because you know, for emergency purposes. And I think I'll keep it all together. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my silver screws and I'm just going to put them back in there on the side. Make sure I get the silver. Come on. I'm just putting the silver ones back on the side that I took them out of. Okay. And then I'll do the same with the gold. All right. And then I can keep this one for emergencies. Now, if I wasn't keeping this for emergencies, what would I do? Would I just go ahead and throw it away like this? No. I would do a couple things. I would first off take the ground screw out, and I would save the ground screw. A lot of times you can use that ground screw in metal boxes. If you have a ground screw that's missing in a light fixture box, let's say, something like that, or you might need one for a pancake box, a metal pancake box, something like that. I would save the ground screw. Okay. I would also save these mounting screws. Every once in a while, the mounting screws, maybe you need just one. Did you know if you don't have any mounting screws, you can take a 1.25 inch drywall screw, the coarse threaded drywall screws. They usually run right into metal boxes just fine. So lots of times, I don't care if one of these is missing or not. Another thing I would do is, you see there's a little groove notch right there. I would bend these off. I would bend all 4 of these off, and I would put these in my nail bag, and then I could use that for a washer. You know, a shim washer somewhere where it's never going to be noticeable, and I've got 4 washers. Okay. Incidentally, you would break these tabs off. See where the groove is right there? You would break those off, bend those off, if you were installing this into a cut-in electrical box. These ears are designed to fit over the sheetrock. Well, a plastic cut-in box fits over the sheetrock at the top and bottom, and then it ties into the back, and there's a screw that tightens it up. And so if you were to put this on the box, this builds out that much further, and sometimes when you put your cover plate on, the cover plate doesn't want to sit tight to your wall. So you would undo these, and then this little part right here would fit into a notch in the cut-in box. Okay, so that's the things I would do if I was throwing that electrical outlet away. Okay, but for the time being, this is going to be my emergency electrical outlet in case I need it for something. You never know when you're going to need something like that. Or now I can rob the screws off. I've got a ground screw. I've got these extra screws. Usually you wouldn't use those side screws for anything much else anyways. Okay, I got to screw these on there and I'll be done. I'll be right back to you, and we'll put this, I'll show you how you kind of maneuver and wedge these wires back into the box. Pretty easy, but if you've never done it, keep watching. I'll show you. Okay, let's get this. We still have the power off. Okay. Well, the wires are coming out as like an S. I only pulled them out, and all of this is all ready to go back, kind of like a spaghetti, kind of like an S or a V. See how it comes? It comes from the top down, and it comes up, and then it kind of comes back down. So as I push it in, it's kind of like an accordion. I'm just kind of smashing these wires back in, kind of like how they were before. Okay. I kind of have to do it sideways at first because I want to push it in all the way, because my screws are still attached. If I wanted to, if this was brand new, or if you were adding a wire into here, I would take these screws out so I could push this straight back. Last thing you want to do is is have it hard right here because how the wires are configured in there, or maybe the wire's hitting electrical wire nut, maybe the wire nut is hitting something else and you're not able to get it in there. You think, oh, that's fine, I'm just going to ram the screw in there and that's going to screw it in. Nope, either your threads strip out of your plastic box or they don't strip out of your plastic box, and it folds this metal on your electrical outlet. It folds this back, and sometimes it could snap off or it pushes out, and then your cover plate might not fit up against the wall, or maybe your top plug is pushed in too far into the wall. Well, it's because this deal here isn't perfectly straight up and down. Okay, you want to be careful with that. I've fixed many a plug where it's been pushed into the wall, taken it back out, and bent this back out with a pair of pliers, screwed it back in. It's fine. See, and see, I pushed it in as far as I can, knowing with these screws pushed on the outside, knowing that it's gonna screw right in now. Okay, it's gonna screw in straight, and it should be fine. If you look at it right now, and if you think this needs to be tweaked over, bent over, or pushed in or something, to rearrange the wires, the last thing you want is for this electrical outlet to come out at an angle or something, so when you put your cover plate on, your cover plate doesn't fit on nice and flat. Okay, but all this looks like it's going to go straight up against the wall. And I can kind of see what I could have done before I took this out. I could have put a little black felt tip mark right where the center of the screw goes, to know that I'm right about where it was before, you know. But I didn't. And main thing is you want your outlet so it's not crooked, okay? And the slot in there, there's a slot there that makes your screw slide to the left and to the right a little bit, okay? And you can get it. See, that needs to be pushed over a little bit, I can see. And this one needs to be slid over this way, over that way a little bit. So I take my screwdriver and just kind of do it, and then snug it down. You don't want to go too tight. You want to be snug. You want to over tighten it. If you over tighten it, you can put a bulge in this in the wire mounting area, and you could actually suck the electrical outlet into the wall just a little bit. So when you put your cover plate on there, it doesn't fit nice and snug. Okay, so now I'm going to put that on there. And make sure, again, you don't tighten that screw too tight, because lots of these covers, if they're not the vinyl ones, you could snap that, and you tighten that too much, you could crack this. And then you can kind of move this a little bit, see? And I like to stand back and make sure it's nice and straight. I'm going to stand back. And yeah, that looks nice. That looks nice there. If yours had to be slid over any more, you take the cover plate back off, and then you can slide that over, you know, on the back side, tighten it back up, and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Well, there you go. Am I done yet? Nope. I've got to turn the power back on. I'm going to check that with my tester and all that. Don't make the assumption that it's going to work. I've installed a couple electrical outlets before, thought I did everything right, and turn it back on, and it didn't work. And lo and behold, one of the wire nuts had come loose, or one of the wires came out of the back side of the electrical outlet or something like that. Always check your work when you get done. I always like to give you bonus material on my videos, so you always want to watch my videos. I never know what I'm going to say next. Here's those things. Happens to be called Comfort Zone, and it calms your cat down. And that's the little thing I had plugged into the wall, okay, right here. And you can buy separate little goodies. You can buy a 6-pack of just these. This particular box here, this was their value pack. Okay. And it came with 6 refills, and it came with 3 heads. And you could change out the head each time, but I don't like to throw all the heads away in case if the threads aren't working right or something like that. I always keep one. Okay, Comfort Zone. That at least keeps our cat from pissing on the carpets. You might want to remember that if your cat does it. Okay, I have not checked this yet with my tester. Now here's another tip for you too. When you go to turn the breaker back on, if you turn your breaker on and if the breaker snaps back at you and trips, let's say, then you know you've done something wrong. Don't try to reset your breaker again after that, because chances are there's something wrong with whatever you did in there. Wire nut has come off, a wire popped off, the screw, you thought the screw was tight on the side and it popped off, and now it's touching metal in there somewhere. If it's a metal box, junction box or something like that, go back, leave your circuit breaker off, come back, pull this apart, figure out what it is, figure it all out, and you should be able to fix it, and then turn your breaker back on. Now if your electrical breaker tripped, before you turn it on, you have to turn the breaker all the way off and then turn your breaker back on. If you turn your breaker back on and it snaps again, chances are you still haven't fixed the problem. Once you get all done, you think you've got everything fixed, turn the breaker off all the way, turn it back on. If it stays on, voila, you fixed the problem. Okay, so let's see if everything's working now. Okay. Sometimes you have to move this around, and it's working. Okay, everything's fine. Now, let's see my hypothesis. Remember, I was doing it because this was all loose, and this one was really loose. Okay, this is a brand new electrical outlet. The prongs inside there should be nice and stiff now. Let's just see if this is going to stay. I mean, it's still slightly loose. Not as bad as it was. That looks pretty good, and I can leave it like that, check it after a few days to see if it's dripping. Worst case scenario, if this thing wants to slide down, I can take my little roll of napkin, put it underneath there to keep it from tilting down. I don't want it to tilt down, because if it does, when you have one of these, it's going to run off your top tray, and then the bottom gets greasy, and then you know it's going to start dripping. That's what happened here. If you can see that discoloration on the floor. I put some cardboard down here because I wanted to protect this until I got that fixed. Okay, I'm not 100% sure if that electrical outlet has done its business for this little deal or not. I'll keep my eyes on it and see where to go from here. But you know, how much did that cost me to replace that? I think it was 77 cents at the store. That's all it cost. And this electrical outlet will still be good for something else. That's all it took. And if you watch this entire video, I'm going to say you've learned something with the last 10 minutes you spent watching this video. Well, that's all I got for this time. Well, I hope you've learned something on this video on how to replace an electrical outlet. Well, that's all I got for this time, but I'll be back with more videos.